Welcome to India's Brave Warriors. Today's video is on the Chola kings, and in particular the four kings who forged India's empire. Four kings, four wars. One empire that ruled from the Tamil coast to the South China Sea. This is not a tale of temples or inscriptions. This is the story of blood, fire, and steel. The Chola dynasty was one of the longest ruling families in Indian history, tracing its roots as far back as the 3rd century BCE. From early rulers like Rajendra Chola to Kulottunga and beyond, Cholas shaped Tamil culture, architecture, and military might. But in this video, we focus not on administration or art, but war. Join us as we explore the lives and legacies of four battle-hardened Chola kings. Karikala Chola, the early unifier of Tamilakam. Rajadhiraja Chola I, the southern storm. Rajendra Chola I, the Naval conqueror. Rajadhiraja Chola I, the elephant warrior. These were the emperors who turned the Cholas into one of the world's most feared empires. Our story begins nearly 2000 years ago in the heat and chaos of Sangmera Tamilakam. A boy, born into the royal house of the Cholas, was betrayed, imprisoned by rival claimants, injured in a fire, and left to die in obscurity. That boy was Karikala Chola. But what burned was not just his flesh, it was the fuel for his vengeance. Escaping captivity, Karikala gathered a small band of loyal warriors. No formal army, no royal treasury, just grit, fire, and the will to reclaim his birthright. Then came the Battle of Veni, a colossal clash near present-day Thanjavur. On one side, Karikala's makeshift force. On the other, a terrifying alliance of kings, the Cholas, the Pandyas, and nearly 11 other southern rulers. Outnumbered, outarmed, unyielding, Karikala rode into the battle like a storm. The earth shook beneath chariots, war elephants, and spears flying like monsoon rain. The Pandyas crumbled. The Chera king, in humiliation, chose ritual suicide rather than live in defeat. It wasn't just a victory. It was a message the Cholas had returned. And Karikala didn't stop there. He turned from war to legacy. Across the mighty Kaveri river, he ordered the construction of the Grand Anicut, a massive stone dam built with the same determination he brought to battle. And it still stands over a millennium later. He was not a conqueror for the sake of conquest. He was a unifier, a warrior who fought to knit Tamilakam into a single, powerful entity and succeeded. A century after Karikala's flames lit the path, a new fire rose brighter, more calculated, and imperial in ambition. He was born Arul Mosi Varman, but the world would come to know him as Rajadhiraja Chola I, the King of Kings. At a time when South India was divided and rival dynasties jostled for power, Rajadhiraja emerged not just as a ruler, but as a visionary. One who would take the Cholas from a regional power to an oceanic empire. His first test came close to home, the Pandyas of Madurai and the Chera forces of Kerala. These were not minor skirmishes. They were grinding campaigns in dense forests, scorching plains, and rain-slicked coastlines. Rajadhiraja didn't just defeat them. He subdued, annexed, and absorbed. And then he turned his gaze outward. The Cholas had always been warriors, but now they would become navigators of the seas. The Chola Navy, under his command, stormed the island kingdom of Lanka. It wasn't just a raid. It was a full-scale invasion, resulting in the annexation of northern Sri Lanka, a strategic and cultural conquest that would influence the region for generations. And still, Rajadhiraja was not done. He marched northward and westward, challenging powers like the Western Chalukyas and expanding the Chola dominion into parts of modern-day Karnataka and Andhra. But perhaps his greatest legacy stood not on a battlefield, but on sacred ground. The Brihadiswarar temple of Thanjavur, a towering marvel of granite, was built not as a monument to peace, but as a celebration of victory and divine rule. Its walls echo with inscriptions of campaigns, naval expeditions, and distant conquests. Rajaraja Chola wasn't just a king of swords. He was a master strategist, naval commander, and empire builder. He gave the Cholas something few dynasties achieve: a soul made of stone, sea, and steel. If Rajaraja Chola laid the foundation, Rajendra Chola I built the legend. He inherited a vast empire and a battle-hardened army, but Rajendra wasn't content with preserving. He wanted to project power, to make the Cholas a force no corner of Asia could ignore. In the north, he marched past the Vindhyas and the Deccan, crossing into Bengal. There, he defeated the mighty Pala Empire, seized their capital, and returned with the sacred waters of the Ganga in ceremonial vessels. But that was just Act 1. He founded a new capital, Gangaikonda Cholapuram, meaning the city of the Chola, who conquered the Ganges. At its heart stood a massive temple echoing his father's, but meant to tell the world the Cholas had arrived. Then came his most audacious move, a full-scale overseas campaign in 1025 CE. He launched India's first great naval invasion, sending a massive fleet to attack Srivijaya, the sprawling maritime empire that controlled the sea routes of Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand. No Indian king had dared such a feat. His navy burned ports, seized merchant vessels, and even took the Srivijaya king hostage. This wasn't a raid, it was a show of force from an empire at its peak. Rajendra was more than a conqueror. He was a visionary, a commander who extended India's shadow across oceans. In him, the sword of the Cholas became the anchor of the Indian Ocean. Our final warrior ruled not from thrones of gold, but from the dust and thunder of the battlefield. Rajadhiraja Chola I, son of Rajendra, grandson of Rajaraja, was born into empire, but carved his legacy in war. He fought 18 major campaigns across the subcontinent, from the burning cities of Lanka to the turbulent heartlands of the Deccan. But it was at the Battle of Koppam that his destiny met its fiercest challenge. Two titans stood opposed, the Cholas and the Western Chalukyas. The field shook with war cries, iron clashed on iron. At the very front, atop a towering war elephant clad in steel, was Rajadhiraja, leading, not commanding fighting, not just watching. He wore the royal crown into battle. His body was his command post. As arrows rained and swords danced, a single arrow, aimed true, pierced the sky and struck the emperor. His death could have ended the battle. But it did not. His brother, Rajendra Chola II, seized the moment. He hoisted the royal umbrella, a symbol of the Chola sovereign, and from the middle of the chaos, turned the tide of battle. The Chalukyas were routed. The Chola banners stood tall, and Rajadhiraja was remembered not as a fallen king, but as a soldier emperor who died on his feet, armor shining, blade unsheathed, atop an elephant of war. The Cholas were more than temple builders and administrators. They were warriors. From the muddy plains of Veni to the jungles of Sumatra, from elephants in battle to fleets on foreign seas, they proved that Tamil steel could shape empires. Their wars built India's greatest southern dynasty. And their names still echo in stone, sea, and song. This was the Cholas at war. If you believe India's warriors deserve more than just a passing line in history books, like and share this video. Subscribe to India's brave warriors for untold stories of courage, brilliance, and resistance.